Welcome to that channel over there where I voted for freedom, not a dictator, but a leader. And you should too.
I thought I would start off this video with something a little bit funny that one of my family members sent, and I just can't stop laughing at this. I can't. So, you guys, we got to talk about this election. This is going to be serious. This is a vote for your freedom. It really is.
I'm just an average American, but I'm an American. And some of the things I see in this country of ours make my blood boil. I see Negroes holding jobs that belong to me and you. Now I ask you, if we allow this thing to go on, what's going to become of us real Americans?
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
This fellow seems to know what he's talking about.
What are we real Americans going to do about it? You'll find it right here in this little pamphlet. The truth about Negroes and foreigners. The truth about the Catholic Church.
Do you believe in that kind of talk?
I don't know, makes pretty good sense to me.
I'm speaking to you as an American. And I tell you, friends, we'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without Catholics. Without Freemasons. You know these people.
What's wrong with the Masons? I'm a Mason. Hey, that fellow's talking about me.
And that makes a difference, doesn't it?
These are your enemies. These are the people who are trying to take over our country. Now you know them. You know what they stand for. And it's up to you and me to fight them.
Before he said Masons, you were ready to agree with him.
Well, yes, but he was talking about... What about those other people?
But in this country, we have no other people. We are American people, all of us.
What about you? You aren't American, are you?
I was born in Hungary, but now I am an American citizen. And I have seen what this kind of talk can do. I saw it in Berlin.
What were you doing there?
I was a professor at the university. I heard the same words we have heard today. But I was a fool then. I thought Nazis were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately, it was not so. You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Of course, that was not easy to do. They had to work hard to do it. You see, we human beings are not born with prejudices. Always they are made for us. Made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it. And it isn't going to be you. There were others who spoke for truth. And I am proud to say that educators were among them.
We must judge each man as an individual and not by the color of his skin or his eyes or by the length of his nose. Remember that. And remember that there is no master race. That is a scientific truth. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying.
Welcome to the Trump 2024 convention, brought to you by Project 2025. This week in the horrible city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you'll see the best of the Trump Project 2025 party. It's a bold vision for a bright future. With Trump Project 2025, you'll love how new tariffs will make everything more expensive and set off runaway inflation. We know you'll appreciate paying for the big tax cut our struggling billionaires need. When you seniors are done freeloading, check out Project 2025's plan to end Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So get out of that nursing home bed and get back to work. And ladies, this convention has so much in store for you. With Project 2025, you'll learn how good you'll have it in the kitchen. Girls, if your marriage isn't working out, you'll need Project 2025's helpful tips to keep the romance alive, even if he's abusive, because we're getting rid of divorce. And if Mr. Wrong gets you pregnant, welcome to motherhood, because we've ended Roe v. Wade and we're going to criminalize birth control. And minorities, Well, you didn't need those silly voting rights anyway. For you Jews, Muslims, Mormons, and other fake religions, you'll get a head start on learning America is a Christian nation. Project 2025 is Donald Trump's plan for your future, and it couldn't be any brighter. Project 2025 Bright Future Guarantee applies to white evangelical Christian men only. Other conditions may apply. Offer not valid in a functioning republic.
Voters are making up their minds right now. 45 million ballots have already been cast. That is roughly 28% of the entire 2020 election turnout. And as this has been going on, as you may have heard, fire.
Who is behind the wheel of that car for setting fire to ballot boxes? They believe the driver of that car is tied to at least 2 incidents at ballot boxes in Portland, Oregon and Vancouver, Washington. Let's go to CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Skaga. Thank you so much for joining us on the stream. You just spoke to police. What did you learn from them?
Reed, good to be with you. These incidents have been tied to that dark gray Volvo sedan you see in surveillance images there. It shows the car pulling over at a Dropbox location in Portland, Oregon, moments before the fire began. And security personnel in nearby Vancouver, Washington, found that ballot box smoking in the early hours of Monday, alerting police. Now, the fire suppression system inside that Dropbox failed. That's why the flames were not immediately extinguished. Hundreds of ballots there destroyed. But in Portland, Oregon, where a similar incident did happen, that fire suppression system worked, so only 3 ballots were damaged there, and officials have already tracked down those voters. But the suspect still at large, and complicating this investigation, there was no front license plate on the vehicle, and police say the suspect's car had an unknown rear plate.
Maybe on purpose. Okay, so Nicole, razor-thin margins, we know this. Every vote counts, especially this election cycle. You just spoke with the auditor as well. What's the fate of the votes that were burned or damaged?
Yeah, the county auditor in Clark County, that's the home of Vancouver, Washington, tells me that, again, hundreds of ballots damaged. They won't have an exact number until later today. Officials are actually waiting for some of those ballots to dry after the fire was extinguished before they can get that exact number. Here's what to know, though. Those who dropped ballots in that drop box in Vancouver's Salmon Creek have been advised to check their ballot status online. They can do that at votewa.gov, and voters impacted can contact the county elections office or submit a request online at the same website for a new ballot. Now, meanwhile, Reed, we should point out, police say they have stepped up patrols around these ballot boxes, and officials in Clark County say they'll also assign ballot box observers to watch their 23 ballot drop boxes countywide there around the clock, 24/7, up until Election Day. The county will also assign election officials to pick up ballots at drop boxes more frequently.
All right, so the Department of Homeland Security is now warning that so-called threat actors are likely to leverage claims of election fraud to drive violence before and after Election Day. It's almost crazy to think we're even talking about these things. But what more can you tell us about these warnings?
Reed, that's right. And the bulletin was published just yesterday by DHS's Office of Intelligence and Analysis. It warned that some are calling for violence in online forums associated with domestic violent extremists. This as a response to election fraud narratives. Those threats are primarily targeting election officials or voting infrastructure. And federal investigators assess that a contested or a close election or even unforeseen events on Election Day that delay vote counting, any technological or administrative errors could heighten the threat environment here in the U.S. DHS warning that some individuals online are now also calling for the sabotage of ballot drop boxes, circulating their methods on these online forums. Now, this internal bulletin has been distributed to law enforcement nationwide, and it's part of the reason we're seeing an increase in police presence around voting locations and those drop boxes, not only in Washington state and in Oregon, but nationwide. Reed.
That's why your Homeland Security and Justice beat as a reporter is so vital to our organization. Nicole, thank you so much.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is not a test. This is not a joke. This is not funny. And you really do need to vote on this. In 2 states, slavery is really on the ballot. And what they're asking you is to allow slavery or involuntary servitude. But what's already happening in some of the states like Alabama and a few other different states, they're rounding up the inmates in these private security jails and making them work at big corporations and fast food joints and things like that. So they are making maybe 81 cents a day and then have to go back to jail. And they're not getting their sentences commuted or shortened in any sort of way. This is what we have to work against right here, because they want to put us back in chains. They want to do it legally. They want to take away our citizenship. Like, this is all because somebody is really upset. All this chaos. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and cause massive amounts of chaos. That's all I see. I'm voting for freedom. I'm voting for my children's future. I'm voting for the future of America. I'm voting to keep the Constitution as a way of life for us. I'm voting for us to maybe one day actually realize the American dream. We can't do that underneath of Trump. We can't. So we have to vote for change, and we have to vote for something new. And I know she's a little bit scary for some people, but come on, you guys. You would rather pick safety, security, and somebody who has smarts and your back and that can fix stuff than to vote for a convicted felon who only cares about himself and staying out of jail. Come on, people. I know you can do it. I got faith in Americans.
Look, I've been voting for 64 years. Never really wanted to talk about it very much. But when dozens of former members of the Trump administration are sounding alarms, saying, for God's sake, don't do this again, you have to pay attention. They're telling us something important. These aren't soft people. They're governors, generals, standing up against the leader of the party they spent their lives advocating for. For many of them, this will be the first time they've ever voted for someone who doesn't have an R next to their name, because they know this really matters. The truth is this: Kamala Harris will protect your right to disagree with her about policies or ideas. And then, as we have done for centuries, we'll debate them, we'll work on them together, and we'll move forward. The other guy, he demands unquestioning loyalty, says he wants revenge. I'm Harrison Ford. I've got one vote, same as anyone else, and I'm going to use it to move forward. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris.
And the reason why America is broke right now is because we keep on giving tax cuts to people who don't need them. We're $34 trillion in debt. And the world's richest man has the nerve to stand in front of everybody and say, I need a tax cut. Let's elect Trump so he can give me more money that I'll never be able to use. This man will be a trillionaire by the time Trump is finished in office and the world is changed and we don't recognize anything, including ourselves, anymore. And they want to give all of our money away with our United States of America credit card. It's not their money. It's your money they want to screw over.
Have to look at the root of inflation. I'll tell you exactly when the very first kernel of inflation was set. And that was in April of 2020. It was right at the early days of the pandemic. The gas prices were $1.87. The oil companies went to Donald Trump and said, we are getting crushed with gas prices at $1.87. Please go to Saudi Arabia and your friend MBS. Please go to Russia and your friend Vladimir Putin and ask them to reduce production. So he had a choice to make. Does he help his oil company cronies, or does he help keep gas prices low? You already know what he did. He went to his he went to support his oil company cronies, went to MBS and Putin and said, please reduce production. That was the day inflation started. And you can track minute by minute, hour by hour, month by month, year by year, quarter by quarter, that as long as that agreement was in place up until 2022, gas prices kept on going up. The minute that agreement came out and production changed, gas prices started going down and you saw inflation go down. So you can take all you want and blame it on the Biden administration, but it started with Donald Trump.
Off the phone, my boy Quan, he said he voted for Trump because Trump gave him that $1,200 stimulus check. I looked it up. It was 4 years ago. That's 1,600 days. $1,200. That's 70. It wasn't even Trump that gave us the checks. It was the Democrats in Congress. Trump fought it the whole way. He hung up the phone. Called me back. He said, if you trying to convince me not to vote for Trump, it didn't work. You know what else don't work? You still on that 75 cents a day. Black man, I want you to be released from the hold that 75 cents has. Speak with me. Hold my hand. I tried to tell him, I said, Kamala Harris is going for a middle-class tax cut. That means you wouldn't have to pay as much in taxes. He said, wait, which years do we have to pay taxes again? Is it the on year or the off year? I said, what? He said, you don't got to pay taxes every year, do you? I really thought about it. I was like, damn, he's too far gone.
Participants in a Halloween parade in Westmoreland County are coming under fire for their float.
Jessica Guay is live in the newsroom with more on that story. Jess?
Josh and Erica, photos of the float in last night's parade in Mount Pleasant show a utility vehicle decorated with American flags and Trump campaign signs. People dressed as Secret Service agents with what appears to be a rifle mounted on top, and a person dressed as Vice President Kamala Harris chained up and walking behind the cart. The photos have gone viral on social media, and the response is overwhelmingly negative, with many calling the float racist and offensive. The parade is put on by the Mount Pleasant Volunteer Fire Department. We've reached out to them with questions and have not yet heard back. The president of the NAACP Pittsburgh branch put out a statement in response to that float, saying in part, quote, this appalling portrayal goes beyond the realm of Halloween satire or free expression. It is a harmful symbol and that invokes a painful history of violence, oppression, and racism that black and brown communities have long endured here in America. They added, quote, we urge the event organizers and local leaders to implement clear guidelines to prevent this type of hateful and hurtful display from occurring in the future. We also ask that they offer an apology and make a public commitment to anti-racist values that affirm the dignity and equality of all people, end quote.
Hey, what's up, fam? So I just got through voting. Yeah, had a little issue. Did my ballot and printed out my ballot, and they had changed who I was voting for president. And it came out with 45's name on it. Hell no. So they fixed that for me. And so I have voted, and I have voted for Kamala and Tim Walz and all you people that are voting for 45. Good luck with you, all right? Peace.
I thought this was funny. Remember on Sunday to turn your clocks back 1 hour. Then remember on Tuesday not to set the country back 100 years. This affirmation post says, a real American upholds our Constitution. November will be filled with love. November will be filled with peace. November will be filled with healing. November will be filled with progress. November will be filled with blessings. November will be filled with happiness. November will be filled with opportunity. November will be when America votes for all the Republicans they can out of office for the sake of our rights as Americans to be protected and save ourselves from the Trumplicans. And Arab Americans, hey, I understand. You wanted a seat at the table. You wanted to have your voices heard, and nobody listened to you. I get it. I think that they are kind of listening to you, but you want to make them hear you more? Vote for the Green Party. Do not throw your vote away. Make it count. You can make the Green Party valid, and we can kick out the Trumplicans all together in one foul swoop. So if you go in and you put your vote towards the Green Party, Jill Stein represents everything that a common sense America really wants. So does her running mate. But I get it. The parties are the way the parties are. But do not throw your vote away. Give it to the Green Party. Don't write in there Donald Duck or anything else that you would like to say to protest. If you want to protest, let's make something out of it. make the Green Party legitimate. Only 5% of us got to vote for them. That's it. And so I humbly recognize that things have got to change everywhere. But I also understand that we have to make sure that Trump doesn't get in office. So don't give your vote away. Give it to the Green Party. That's not giving it away. You will be doing something with that. All right. This isn't even exactly how I wanted this particular video to go. I had something completely done up and I'm ready to go. I'm going to have that one come out as well because it's awesome. I don't really repeat myself, just a tiny bit, but this was important to put out because I wanted everybody to see and remember what this guy did. Our attention spans are just way too daggone short here in America. They're way too short. This man is an absolute danger to himself and the community. And what do we do with people like that? We do not vote for them. Plain and simple. Vote for common sense. Vote for safety. Vote the way your heart desires and is well informed. And if you are voting for a Trumplican, you are not well informed. We cannot trust any Republican. We can't trust any of them. Vote them all out. I don't care if they're your best friend. We cannot give them a seat at this table because they are not good for America right now. They're not. They got to get themselves together and they got to stop rebuking the Americans. You know, the people that put them there, the people who they're supposed to be working for. They're not working for us. They're working for themselves. Let them remember why they got in office. It's because of our powerful vote. Because if our votes didn't mean anything, if they weren't powerful, they would not do so much to try to steal it from us. We matter. We are powerful. We are the many. And we choose to give these people power. Let's choose the right one.
Now go and vote. If you haven't even registered, that's okay. You can register on site. Just do your part.